Hello! It's the Bad Mini Painter, and I'm still working through the Leviathan box set. So, some people seem to go to my videos and not really understand what I'm about. I'm not good. That's kind of the whole point. So what I try to do is make videos where I show you how to get a decent result without actually having any skill. It might be a niche audience, but nonetheless that's my audience. But for this guy, I decided to actually try to do a good job. Yeah, I know, weird, right? So I start out with the Highland Blue from the Army Painter, and I smear it all over the place. It's one of their speed paints that are fairly famous for reactivating as soon as you apply more paint on top of it. But the Highland Blue is not that bad, so it gives me a decent base, adds a lot of shade and highlighting already. And what I do afterwards is I go over it again, because as you can see it's very splotchy. So I go over it again with the Azul Ultramarine from Vallejo. It's a kind of matte blue that I really like. And I generally just touch up on all the flat surfaces. So I still take advantage of the highlighting that has been done and the shading. I felt clever. Afterwards, I slowly start to mix in White Star from Two Thin Coats. You can use White Scar or any other like bright white. And I just slowly add more and more. So what I try to do is to build up light. So where I figured that light would hit the armor, I add more and more white to the blue to get a kind of a gradient. And I do that in 4 or 5 iterations. And the end result is kind of nice. And it's actually fairly easy to do. Just have a wet palette next to you and yeah, easy. Next, Retributor Armor. And that is for the skulls and decorations around on the armor. I like using Retributor. It's a pretty warm gold. It's a fairly thick paint. I'm pretty sure it's a base coat, base layer thing, but I can't remember right now. Next up, I do Abaddon Black for all the joints, and I cover up the whole thing with my my fat hand. But there you go. Then it's time for all the silver, and Lead Bilger is my paint of choice. I'm also quite happy for I think it's called Trash Metal from Scale 75. It's pretty much the same paint, only it runs a little thinner, so it doesn't clog up details as much. But in this case I just went with Lead Bilger because honestly it was on the table already and I couldn't be bothered. And I use that for the sword, some details on the gun. I'm trying to follow the box art, but you can pretty much do it wherever. For the paper, for the purity seals thingamabob, I decided to use Flayed One Flesh. Normally I would do Screaming Skull, but Flayed One Flesh is a little warmer, a little less grayish, and I felt like that looked a little better. And for the seal, Mephiston Red. It's bright, it's nice, and I'm going to darken it down with the Agrax shade a little later. I'm trying to be careful not to hit the armor, because that would be annoying. For the inside of his cloak, yes, I use Ulthion Grey. It's this bluish, grayish, white color, and I felt like it looked kind of nice for the inside of the thingamabob. I also used this on the white decorations on his armor, and again trying to be really careful not to hit the already painted armor. The problem with this is that it is a kind of a thick paint, and even though you've thinned it down quite a bit, it still quite quickly cover up details. And if you thin it down too much, it will run into all the recesses, and then yeah. So I'm going to go back over it with a black wash, just simply to highlight some of the details on it. And for the outside of the coat, we're back to Plate 1 flesh. Again, it's like this warm, leathery kind of skin tone, and if you apply Raglan flesh shade to it, it ends up looking pretty nice. And the look I'm going for with his cloak is dirty, battle-worn, torn, because it's already in feathers, so why not, you know? Raglan flesh shade for all the gold on his armor, and that again it kind of brings out the details and adds some warmth to it. It makes stuff stand out. Shading is just awesome for bad painters. You can achieve a lot by using the correct shading. And on the cloak, I start with a pretty heavy coating, and then I wait for everything to pool, and I use my brush to suck it up, so I don't get these big black drops at the end of the cloak. And black wash from the arm painter for all the lead belcher. And again, I add a fairly heavy layer, and then I come back with my brush and I suck up the excess. Agrax Earthshade for the paper or parchment of the purity seals. And a fairly heavy coat, because I'm going to clean it up. I decided I want to add some highlighting to his gun. So what I do is first I give it, I decide where the light would hit, and then I give it a fairly thick line of Asian Grey. Then I go in with the Dawnstone and do it a little bit thinner towards the middle, trying to be careful. Kind of stippling it on, and finally Grey Sear, which is a fairly light grey. I think you can see on my hand that I'm stippling. You can't actually see it on the model, but I promise that's what I'm doing. I'm just bad at where my hand is. Plate 1 flesh yet again to clean up the sigils, so I only have the shading left in the crevices or where shadow would be. And I'm trying to be careful to just not paint it over, but actually leave some shading behind. And I use Plate 1 flesh as a highlighting on his cloak as well. Again, trying to only hit where the fabric is at its highest. And then decided to give it a little extra towards the bottom, because that would be more worn than the rest. Sycorax bronze, and what I am doing with this is I'm stippling, smearing it on the top of all the gold parts, to again add some light effects. And the end result is actually pretty cool, as soon as I cleaned up where I hit the armor, which was everywhere. It's a really subtle effect, but I think it worked out quite nicely. And then I go in with the Stormhose Silver, which is my absolute favorite silver for highlighting. And I just add a little here and there where there would be where the light would hit, and also where I would imagine that extra wear and tear would be done. Also the sword, of course, the blade, just an edge highlighting on that. And then I do Kislev flesh for his face, and I follow up with Reichland flesh shade on that one. There's really not, I mean, you can spend hours on doing faces, but no one will notice. So I'm not. And Grey Seer for the hair. And again, I decide to cover up everything with my hand so you can't see what's going on. But see, paint actually went on the model. I'm trying to be careful not to hit the flesh or anything else. And the end result is this. So, I know it's not absolutely brilliant, but I can apply myself. I can do an okay job. And let that be my my legacy for today. Also, I've mentioned this before, but I hate scenic bases. It forces me into something, and I actually like to do simple bases with a little vegetation and stuff like that. And scenic bases just ruins that. But hey, here we are, and no, it could have gone a lot worse. So I'm actually pretty satisfied with the result I ended up with here. Anywho, if you for some reason enjoyed this video, please do leave a like and please do subscribe. If there are anything you think I should be painting up, let me know in the comments. It's always fun to know what people are actually interested in. You're watching this video, so probably Space Marines, but see, you never know. Thank you so much for your time, I know it's valuable, and I will see you soonish for another upload. Bye.